Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there, to the Sports Buffoons. And yes, this is some extreme buffoonery going on that you can see right about now. It is myself, Mike Sell here, Jason JG, and we're going to try to get Tanner here with us as well. He is actually out in Arizona right now, as a matter of fact, getting to watch some Eric Hosmer and the rest of the players out there hitting away for spring training. So, Jason, how you doing?
Oh, your boy JG is back up in the hizzle. I'm ready to get fucked, and we're not going to drop any more fucking F-bombs on this whole show. So
that's the one and only? That's the one and only.
That was it.
Okay, well,
two. That was actually two.
Okay, that's two. Well, I'm going to send over a link here to try to get Tanner on and see how this thing goes. But we have a lot to talk about with you guys today. First and foremost, though, obviously Bruce Arians now has retired, apparently, from the NFL, which is quite a shock, I would say, because, I mean, he's been around a lot, and Tom Brady's back, so what would make a guy like that want to call it quits at this stage of his career is a bit of a surprise to me. So, what are your initial thoughts on Bruce Arians now leaving Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, it's my understanding that he's not leaving. He's moving into the front office. And so there's a big difference between retiring and moving into the front office. And we're going to have to wait until a few more reports come out on that. But my initial thoughts on that were the fact that Tom Brady came back out of retirement, and then Bruce Arians left as the head coach. And so, you know, it's kind of like LeBron James with the Lakers and all of his other teams before that. When we think about LeBron James, like, he's the general manager. Like, he's not just the best player on the team, he's the general manager. So I think of Tom Brady in the same way. And so Tom Brady is probably calling the shots as of right now. And so Bruce Arians, whether you think he got along with Tom Brady or not, it doesn't really matter at this point, because Bruce Arians is no longer the coach of the team, and Tom Brady is basically the head coach at this point. And so I think it's a very interesting turn of events. Bruce Arians obviously won them a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, and now he's moving into the front office. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where I think the first report I heard come out of Tampa Bay is that Todd Bowles could be the new head coach, but it doesn't really matter because Tom Brady is running the show in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's a lot like, you know, we've seen LeBron with the Lakers running the show over there with that whole situation going on. And now at this point, I mean, Tom Brady's basically calling the shots, and I'm not saying he wanted Bruce Arians to leave the team, but obviously he's the one in full control of what goes on here from here on out.
You know, and I don't want to oversimplify this, but let's be clear here. Bruce Arians did fire Antonio Brown. There was nobody else involved in that. It was single-handedly Bruce Arians that fired him. And, you know, whatever the reasons are, it doesn't matter. But Antonio Brown was Tom Brady's boy, right? So I can imagine a scenario where Tom Brady was pissed after Antonio Brown got fired by Bruce Arians. So that might have a little bit to do with it. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. You know, let's let bygones be bygones. Let's let Bruce Arians move into the front office and do his thing. But, you know,
Jason,
I've been saying this the whole time, dude.
That's not it.
I've been saying this the whole time. Would you guys all shit your pants if Antonio Brown comes back this year?
Oh, that'd be horrible. I don't want to see Antonio
Brown
Brown back because I can't stand that guy.
It's possible. You know it's possible.
I can't stand that guy. I hope he's never playing again in the NFL. Tanner, you want to cut off Jason for a minute? Are you drunk too, or what's going on?
No. I'm good. I've been drinking all day. Spring training down here in Arizona.
No, I'm good. I've been drinking all day.
Just watched the Brewers and Padres play down here in Peoria. Fabulous. It's always great to watch. Anyway, Tom Brady's segment, guys. Tom Brady's segment here. This is a health issue, but to keep Bruce involved within the franchise, this is the move that was made. Health was your main concern. It wasn't a Tom Brady firing. It wasn't get Antonio Brown back in the door. He's probably going to like the Bears or something like that. It's just a strict health issue that's going on with groups that's haunted them for the past few years. Through Arizona, through Pittsburgh. This is strictly to keep him involved in football operations.
Yeah, so he says it's a health issue. It's kind of like before we all go to Tulsa, we're going to take care of our health better too here as Buffoons. So you got to stay healthy so you can be longevity, you know what I mean? So, you can coach longer and you can do more activities, right?
I just got to point one thing out here because the first thing that he said after health issue was that there's something wrong with his balls. So, like, are you serious, Tanner? Like, is it Bruce Arians' balls that are the problem here, or is it something else?
Jason, he's never lacked that. Obviously, not biting into Antonio Brown's controversy. He didn't want to play because of his injured foot. Whatever. Gone. See ya. He didn't care. He has the next man up. He's not worried about it. Obviously, those sets is not a issue for him.
I'm telling you guys right now, okay, that like Bruce Arians is known as BA and Antonio Brown is known as AB. And this to me looks like a BA versus an AB issue. And I'm telling you right now, dude, AB's coming back because I don't care what you guys think about AB.
This is not an issue.
Listen to me right now. Antonio Brown is Tom Brady's boy, okay? So Tom Brady is the GOAT. And when you're the GOAT, you can do whatever the hell you want. Okay? So if AB is his boy, he can bring AB back in a heartbeat. And if Bruce Arians didn't want that shit, well then guess what? BA is going to the front office. We got a new head coach, possibly Todd Bowles, who might just think of it as kind of like, okay, yeah, we need to give AB another chance.
It is Todd Bowles.
He said it is Todd Bowles that's going to be head coach. So
and that's fine.
There you go. I mean, that's probably good news for the team.
I'm going to call it right now.
Another shot too, I think.
I'm going to call it right now. AB is back. AB is back.
All right. I hope not, but okay,
I don't care. I don't care who likes it.
All right, guys. So we're going to talk about Final Four here in just a second before we get to the NFL draft talk. So coming down, obviously, to the last few teams here. KU versus Villanova. Then we got Duke and UNC going facing off here. Now, I did have KU in my bracket going to the championship game and actually losing to Gonzaga. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But so, Tanner, what are some of your thoughts about the Final Four going on right now? And who, I mean, I know you're going to pick KU because you're biased, but who do you see facing KU in that championship game?
No, I think so. KU Villanova is a very interesting matchup. I honestly didn't expect Villanova to catch fire. They did have one of their guys, one of their good players, go down with torn Achilles last game, which will hurt them. I don't think it's going to hurt them that much, really. You have 2 games, not almost. You have 2 possible games left in the season. Those starters that are already out there and their key bench player, those guys are going to be able to play a lot of minutes going through to help fill that void. I can't remember his name because I thought I could view my notes on here, and I can't. That he will be missed. So I'm a little worried about this KU Villanova game. This is going to be one that comes down to the wire. I'm pulling for KU, of course, to win. I'm a Jayhawk. But I also hope that with Remy doing his thing off the bench, Midwest region player through the bracket already. It's awesome to see. And then, I mean, McCormick and Abaji, like, come on, guys. There's somebody that's going to stop those guys if they're on fire. The thing that KU needs to do is continue to get rebounds, continue to put boards up, and get those points off second chance points. But most important all versus Villanova team is don't let Villanova control the pace of the game. Villanova likes to bring the game back to them, so they slow it up. And, I mean, that's where Villanova prospers half the time through this game. So look for KU to keep the game fast and moving versus Villanova. Now, on the opposite side, who's going to verse KU, in my opinion? I think this is what Jason would call a revenge game. This is a Duke winning game. I think it's going to be an overtime kind of style game. Carolina's going to bring it. Duke's going to bring it. But I think this is going to be won within the last 3 minutes of the game. And I think Duke in the end pulls this out for Coach K, and they revenge themselves against Carolina after that last home loss to head into the championship.
Okay, so you got the same two teams I do then. I have KU and Duke facing off. Jason, you might have a different opinion. I don't know, but I just think that those are the remaining best teams available here.
Oh, I can agree with that. I mean, I also have Duke and KU in the championship game. In fact, amazingly enough, those are the two championship teams that I had when we first saw the bracket from the very beginning. And so I'm not going to turn my back on that now. I have to ride with what got me here, basically. So, I said it's going to be Duke versus KU from the very beginning. I'm not going to abandon that. But make no mistake, that Duke-North Carolina game, it's not going to be as lopsided as some people might think. And Hubert Davis has done an amazing job at UNC this year. And this is going to be a nail-biter right to the bitter end. I do have Duke winning the game. Coach K, those kids are not going to let him down. So I am going to take Duke to win against UNC in a nail-biter. And then with KU and Villanova, I can make the case that Villanova was the better team before we saw that injury to Justin Moore. So Justin Moore on Villanova has an Achilles injury, and he's their second leading scorer. He's also the team captain. And you could kind of look at that as maybe like a motivational factor where, they're going to rally the troops and Villanova's going to win the game. And, that could make the game close. But honestly, KU has the better roster here. Villanova doesn't have a whole lot of depth. And so I would say that's my biggest problem with that Villanova roster is that not a whole lot of depth. And then, all of a sudden Justin Moore is not healthy. So I am going to go with my gut, which is what I went with at the beginning of the tournament before it even started. I'm going to go KU versus Duke in the championship game. And the University of Kansas is going to ruin Coach K's dreams.
All right, so you got KU winning the whole thing then. All right, that sounds good to me then.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it happening. I mean, it could be their year finally get back in and do it, and especially in a year where I feel like going into the season, the expectations weren't to win the championship. Where every other year it feels like they got these superstars and they got all these other guys on the roster and they're expected to go win a championship. And it seems like this year you walk in and you got Remy Martin and all this, and it's just like, yeah, we're going to be good, but we're not expecting a championship. And here they are. It's kind of funny the way things work out like that sometimes.
And that's the other thing I'll say about all of these blue bloods that everybody is just like, they can't control themselves. Oh my gosh, we got 4 blue bloods in the tournament in the Final Four, and it's just like, these are weak blue bloods by tournament standards. When you look at Duke, UNC, KU, and Villanova, basically all 4 of those teams are weak based on prior year's standards. So pretty much anybody can win this year. I mean, this KU team this year, I mean, when you compare that to other KU teams that have made it to the Final Four, they're a little bit weak, dude. But so is the Villanova team and the North Carolina team and the Duke team. So when everybody is weak and all the chips are on the line, what's going to happen? And I think you could just flip a coin all the way down the line. But, give me KU because I'm going to go with my heart here, as I always do, because KU has a really good chance to win the whole thing.
You guys know I don't watch much college basketball. I just want the Suns to win tonight, and that's about all. The only basketball team I watch is Phoenix Suns. But by the way, back to our first topic when we started off with. So Todd Bowles got a 5-year extension, by the way, as a head coach. So obviously they're thinking about him being the long-term solution there. And Bruce Arians at that point, I mean, you're gone, Dylan, at that point. You're definitely gone. So anyways, just some news out there for those listening along live.
And I feel good about that as far as Todd Bowles getting the extension because he did deserve another chance as a head coach in the NFL. But, let's be honest, guys. When Tom Brady retires after this year, nobody really cares what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be after that. So, I'm glad that Todd Bowles got his money, but nobody really cares what's going to happen after this year. So let's see what the Bucs can do. I think they have a chance to make it back to the Final Four of the NFL, but if it doesn't happen, nobody's going to hold Todd Bowles accountable for that. It's going to be all up to Tom Brady and how far can he get them in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. So Tanner, do you want to stick around for a little draft talk, or do you got places to be and beers to drink?
I got some people to meet, some beers to drink, whiskey to deal. So I'm at the Moon right now, up by Peoria, next to the Padres and Seattle Mariners Stadium. So pretty cool spot. They just redid it inside, which is super nice. So if you're ever in Peoria area, Moon Saloon, it's pretty dang good. I do have one final thought, so on the NCAA real quick here. Just thinking about it here from the 4 teams left over, Duke is the only team that was expected to be here. North Carolina, with Roy Williams retiring, wasn't it? Bill Self, he called his team it's not his best team. He said it out plain simple with that one. But there's a lot of guys on this KU team from the 2020 KU team that got canceled due to COVID that probably would have won the national chance. So they're here for that team to make it happen. So I think KU will pull it off. But it's going to be a tough game. Exciting weekend coming up between that Saturday and Monday. So I can't wait to see what happens, guys. So.
Alrighty then. Well, it was great to have you on for a bit at least, and we'll be back in the main Buffoons Hub a week from now, I would say. So
actually,
no. What? Oh no, wait,
it's
Mr. Bruce.
Mr. Bruce.
Mr. Bruce week. So
Mr.
We'll
Bruce. OP.
Right. So next Wednesday we'll be at a different location again. So we'll be in OP. So and if everyone out there is welcome to come join and hang out for a bit as well. So I forget because normally this would be our Mr. Bruce week. And Tanner's out of town. We're doing this little random setup here, and so we're just all miscombobulated around here right now. So.
And everybody is welcome to join us at Mr. Bruce because we are there once a month, and their beer menu is amazing. Like the beers that they serve, it's like my favorite venue of all time. So please join us at Mr. Bruce whenever you get the chance.
All right, Will.
And one more shout out. One more shout out before I go, guys. This Saturday, Let's Talk Sports. We will begin our 11 o'clock Central kind of meeting with Let's Talk Sports. Dan there. We'll talk Chiefs. We'll probably talk some more NFL. I'm sure something else will come up, but I'll at least be on there. Maybe I can get YouTube as well. But Let's Talk Sports. 11 o'clock, 8 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. We plan to meet weekly, so going over who knows what.
I'm just going to be watching WrestleMania this weekend, Tanner. So that's what I'll be doing with my time.
Well, it's going to be Tanner. It's going to be the NBA from here on out, right? We're going to have Let's Talk Sports discussions regarding the NBA.
We could, but you know how NFL likes to take over the spotlight.
You mean like it's going to right now?
Yeah. So, all right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, Tanner, have fun getting drunk, bro.
Yeah, have fun out there. At least they still got some sunlight out there, too, which is the best part.
That's
amazing. Yeah, you guys want to see?
Yeah, so I need to get out there.
Oh, dude,
right now it's dark out here, so it'd be nice to be out in Arizona where there's no time change, and it's like 2 hours before right now. So.
We can do the show on the damn beach. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah,
I'm gonna go back to my sunshine and 73-degree weather. So
there you go. Perfect.
Enjoy that, bro.
See you guys.
See ya. We are going to now discuss some Chiefs and NFL related stuff going on right now. Obviously, the NFL draft is just 4 weeks away from now, and we've seen now the Chiefs how they've reconstructed some of the roster, and they're now in attack mode as far as rebuilding. Tyreek Hill is off the books. They currently have in the middle of the pack of cap room at the moment. They just added Jermaine Carter from the Panthers at linebacker. Obviously, Justin Reed is now the new safety. And then adding a receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So they're actually making a lot of moves to kind of fill in the gaps on this roster currently. But with that said, I think that Veach is looking towards the draft to really hone in on defensive ends and replacing that. because they've not made any moves yet towards fixing the pass rush on this team. Frank Clark restructure, that's not fixing the pass rush, that's just helping you out with the salary cap a little bit. So I see this unfolding here where the Chiefs go into this draft and heavily target defensive ends. That doesn't mean they won't be targeting receivers, though. I think that's still going to be on the books as well. And we've also heard rumors about them looking for trades for receivers still, as well as cornerbacks. So they're right now in the massaging the roster portion of the offseason. But with that said, Jason, I was curious to think about who were the best fits, scheme-wise and talent-wise, that would fit in the best for what the Chiefs systematically, how they're put together. Because certain guys, certain heights, weights, aren't going to work on this team. Where if you have, I think, speed rushers, I have one in mind, Arnold Ebidikidi. Ebidikidi. He's one of my favorite guys. And then at receiver, obviously, there's like a big plethora of guys out there. Chris Olave is one of them. I like George Pickens a lot too. So, who are your best roster fits you see in the draft?
Yeah, it's very difficult to have this discussion with you because, I've been of the opinion all along that the Chiefs are going to start trading those picks. Now, whether you think that's for an edge rusher or whether you think it's going to be for DK Metcalf. I knew a lot of Chiefs fans out there are like begging for DK Metcalf right now. And I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, DK Metcalf could completely transform this offense, as far as what Chiefs fans' expectations are. But, I am going to base my views here on the assumption that no trades are going to be made. I'm going to tell you right now, there will be a trade. But when I'm looking at the Chiefs draft right now, I'm going to make the assumptions that there will be no trades. And so right now at number 29, I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver out of Penn State. He had 91 receptions for 1,182 yards and 12 touchdowns. And so that would be the pick that I would make first and foremost because, you guys all know out there in Chiefs Kingdom, we need some damn receivers. So if the Chiefs are not going to make any big dick trades, let's get a damn receiver. So Jahan Dotson would be my first trade at number 29.
Gotcha. I don't mind that pick at all. I mean, I think he would fit in well with the roster. There's just a lot of options out there at receiver. And so I don't know that he's necessarily the best option, but I think he would fit in well. And look, I don't mind adding to the group we currently have and just getting that thing built up over time. Because Mecole Hardman, after this season, we can assume he's going to be on the way out. But also, they got a bunch of one-year deals in this team. Juju's a one-year deal. So I just think that Hardman's essentially a one-year deal because it's the last year of his contract. So they're going to be looking for receivers that are going to be here for the next at least 5 years. So really, there's like a list of about 5 guys that I really, really like. And I'm hoping Olave could hold the Chiefs. He's got great speed, ran in the 4.3 at the combine. And I just think he would fit in nicely to kind of replace the Tyreek Hill role in this team.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't get Olave, or we make a trade and get a big receiver via a trade, I think that you look at a guy like, Jahan Dotson. That would be my first pick as a wide receiver. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Chiefs are going to make a big trade before this draft starts.
So you think with their first pick, so the pick right now, currently 29 and 30, they're going to go receiver, and then you see them going edge rusher after that, if they stay put?
No, if they stay put, I would go at number 30 with Kyler Gordon, the cornerback out of Washington, because I do believe he is a day one starter in the NFL. We lost Charvarius Ward, and so we've got to shore up that cornerback position. So I would take Kyler Gordon at number 30 if the Chiefs don't trade away the 29 and 30 picks, which, I feel like for me personally, I just think it's a done deal. Like, as a Chiefs fan, we're not going to see 29 or 30. I think they're going to trade both of those picks away. But if we're stating this as is, yeah, I'm gonna go with a cornerback at number 30, Kyler Gordon.
Yeah, I could see them doing a trade for at least one of those picks. I don't know that they would trade away both of them. But I could see that happening without a doubt. I have another corner in mind that I like at pick 30 in that case. If he falls to the Chiefs, from Florida cornerback Kaiir Elam is one of my favorite guys. He's just kind of a tall, like 6'2", 200-pound guy, and I like the lankier type of corners these days. They match up well with some of the best receivers in the game. Like your DK Metcalfs or like your Devontae Adams, these big-bodied guys. And these days, it's like you gotta have a big corner. Where it used to be back when like Lenny Walls was playing. Lenny Walls was 6'4". That guy was almost too tall to be a corner, because he just didn't have quite the amount of hip flexibility at that kind of a height, or the quickness to adjust to some of these faster routes we're seeing. But it's like today's athlete's just insane, though. And it's just a different kind of era, different kind of game where everyone wants to be like Jalen Ramsey. And so I just really, really like the big-bodied corners that fit in and can hit. That's important. We don't like these little pansy asses out there like we've seen in the past with like a Marcus Peters who doesn't want to tackle, because that's also very important in the NFL these days.
And I agree with you. I would love to see a big-bodied corner on the Chiefs, but, it's not like, 2012 or whenever the hell the Seahawks won a Super Bowl. This is a new age in the NFL, and it's all about the offense. And so I am a defensive-minded guy when it comes to the NFL and most other sports, to be quite frank with you, but it's a different league right now, and it's all about the offense. The way that the league officials call the games now, it favors the offense, and I'm just not going to, I don't want to invest too much in the defense right now.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just think we don't want to run into a situation where the Chiefs are just, once again, like 2018, having to outscore everyone. And it comes down to that, where, Mahomes has to put the whole team on his back and score 50 points, otherwise you're going to lose. Pass rush is going to be so important for this team, because obviously losing Ward is impactful, but the guy was also not a guy who made a lot of turnovers by any means. He wasn't one of those kinds of corners where, like, I truly enjoy the corners who, like a Charles Tillman, in that kind of role, where he can just come in and make plays all over the field, different ways, fumbles, interceptions, all that kind of stuff. So I really like those kind of guys the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, it's just like the league is changing right now. And so, me being a defensive-minded person, I just want to see more offense on the Chiefs. And, I know when you go back to the Chiefs of Dick Vermeil, and when they could put as many points on the board as they wanted to, but the defense sucked. Well, that was a problem back then. But that's not a problem right now. And I just think it's more important that we get as many good wide receivers as we can. And that's why I think the bottom line here is, guys, is like they are going to make a trade. Now, whether you think it's going to be for an edge rusher, whether you think it's going to be for a DK Metcalf or another big wide receiver, the Chiefs are going to make a trade. And we've got to get that wide receiver core set straight.
Yeah. Anyone else on your radar as far as the draft goes for the Chiefs that was standing out right now if they were to select at the end of the first round?
Yeah, I'm going to go into the second round here at number 50. I would say Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State, because CEH is not quite what we thought he would be. And so you can never have enough running backs on your team in the NFL. And so you look at Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State. He's 211 pounds. He had 1,611 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. And so if we stand pat on that second round pick, which is not going to happen, like I already told you guys, I would take Kenneth Walker III from Michigan State at that number 50th pick.
So even with the addition of Ronald Jones, so then you'd have it in a backfield of Ronald Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Kenneth Walker. You think that's still something they would do in the second round?
Yeah. But like I said before, the draft as we see it right now, that is not going to happen. Those picks are going to be traded. I promise you right now, you can take it to the bank. So this is kind of just like something that we're doing for fun right now. If the draft were to happen as is, this would be what I would be looking for the Chiefs picks. But like I said, it's not going to happen. Chiefs are going to trade those picks because when you look at the last year's Super Bowl champion, LA Rams, what's the blueprint for winning the Super Bowl? In today's NFL, we don't care about the picks. The picks don't mean anything. So I think the Chiefs are willing to trade those picks.
Yeah, I like a couple of defensive ends still too. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson II from Florida State is a really productive player. I think he would fit in great size, great long arms too. So those kind of guys would make an impact right away and could fall to the Chiefs at 29. But also, I could see the Chiefs trading up if they needed to, more towards the middle of the first, to go get a guy that they're really interested in. But it's just we're waiting and seeing what's going to happen. But I will say this, they're not going to sit there with all 12 picks and just draft players. Like, they're going to be making deals to package up to either move up or to make a trade, as Jason's insinuating here, for someone who's already established in the NFL. And obviously, the rumors about James Bradbury are going around from the Giants, and he would fit in nicely at corner and replacing Ward. So I would not be upset if we were to get him on the team too.
So right quick, Mike, what do you think about Melvin Ingram and JPP right now? Would you like to have both of those guys on our team or just one of them?
No, I like Melvin Ingram because he already knows the team. He brought intensity to the roster, something that I think was lacking quite a bit this past season because, Frank Clark's not going to bring enough of that on-field intensity where Ingram came in, made plays in the backfield, stopping the run as well as getting pressured. JPP, I think I'm a little over him, age-wise especially. I don't know how much more productive years he has left. I would rather take a stab at Jadeveon Clowney than I would JPP. Just because at this point the age is too up there, and it's not really worth it to me. Even for 1 year, I'd rather go with Clowney, who's not even 30 yet. Or I guess he might have just turned 30 actually. I'm not sure, but I just think he's overaged at this point. It's that's the problem with the defensive ends that are free agents currently. It's just a bunch of old guys out there, and no one really to pick up that is going to be around for more than a year. So, so Jason, I know you wanted to have a little discussion as well about the potential NBA Finals teams and who could be in that matchup. We have the playoffs beginning here in 2 weeks, April 16th, I believe, is when the playoffs begin. And we kind of already have our assumptions about who is going to be making it to the NBA Finals. I think, are we both imagining a repeat of last year?
I do imagine a repeat, and the reason I want to have this discussion is because we turn on the TV every day, and all they want to talk about is the Brooklyn Nets and the LA Lakers. Well, the LA Lakers, if the playoffs started right now, are done. Okay? So I wish that we could just stop talking about the LA Lakers because they're not going to be able to make the play-in. So the Nets, they're going to be there, but I wanted to do a discussion here for an NBA Finals preview, and I want to talk about the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks because those seem to be the two teams that are on the trajectory to make it to the NBA Finals. And the Milwaukee Bucks, I understand they're a small market team, they're kind of boring. Nobody really gives a shit about them. But they've got a really good record right now. And in my opinion, they also have the best team in the league right now. Now, you look at a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you want to make a bet right now on who's going to win the league MVP, Giannis is plus 1,000. I don't know why that is. It doesn't make sense. Nikola Jokic is plus 110. Joel Embiid is minus 150. So Giannis Antetokounmpo actually has better stats right now than Jokic and Joel Embiid. He's averaging 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1.5 blocks. To me, he is the best player in the league right now. And so when I look at this NBA Finals preview, which is way too early, nobody should try to predict the NBA Finals this far out, but we're going to go ahead and do it on the show because we don't care. I'm going to go ahead and go with Phoenix Suns versus Milwaukee Bucks. And I want to break this down by offense and defense. And so when you look at the offense, the Milwaukee Bucks have 7 guys right now that are averaging double figures. including Brook Lopez, who just got back from injury. He had 17 points in last night's game against the Philadelphia 76ers. And you look at their offense, and they have so many guys that can score, but they also play great defense. And when you look at the Phoenix Suns offense, guess what? Big surprise. They also have 7 guys who average double figures all season long. And it starts off with Devin Booker averaging 26, 5, and 5. Chris Paul averaging 18 points, 13 assists. You look at the defense on both teams, and the Suns are actually better than the Bucks right now. And I've got to make a prediction on this show, and we're going to come back a little bit later when the playoffs start. We're going to do an official prediction a little bit later on, but right now we're going to do our early prediction. And right now I am going to predict the Milwaukee Bucks to win the championship. Phoenix Suns, number 2 in defensive win shares, and the Bucks are at number 14. So right now in the regular season, the Suns are better on defense. And the problem I have with that is the Bucks don't really care because they're the defending champions. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, in my opinion, is the best player in the league. And so if I had to make my pick right now, Mike, I would go with the Milwaukee Bucks. And now I understand you guys view me as the resident Arizona sports team hater on this show, and I respect that. But I would have to go with the Milwaukee Bucks right now because I don't care about what happened in the regular season. I care about the postseason. And the Milwaukee Bucks are big ballers right now, and that is the team that I would trust right now to win the NBA Finals.
Yeah, and I understand why you say that too. I mean, obviously you're looking at what happened last year in that situation, and they were the more physical team at the end of the day against the Suns. It's hard to distinguish right now whether the Suns are better than last year. I would say that certain players have improved on that team. I think that Jay Crowder has gotten better. DeAndre Ayton's another year in the league. Devin Booker is just thriving right now, and having Chris Paul there makes him even better. And it doesn't make Chris Paul better necessarily. It's just Chris Paul helps make Booker better because Chris Paul is one of the best passing players in the entire league. He knows how to get guys open. And Booker is just taking full control of this whole team. And even while Chris Paul was injured for a long period of time, Booker was in there doing his thing. The Suns were winning games anyway. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can win without him just fine. But he's nice to have on the roster. But I think the main comparison we're looking at right now is both these teams pretty much have the same roster as a year ago. And that's probably why they'll probably both end up back in the finals again, because they have that cohesiveness as a team on both ends of this. Where you got teams, obviously like the 76ers, who are kind of a mixed bag at the moment, trying to get their feet underneath them and gel together. The Nets piss me off. I don't even know where to begin with them. I mean, that's just a chaotic team. So I don't really understand them. The Warriors obviously are a great team, but still 28 losses, and they're facing the Suns tonight, as a matter of fact. I think that these are probably the 2 top teams in the entire league when you look at them, because they don't have the chaos that other teams have on their teams. Steph Curry's injured right now for the Warriors. There's something going on with every team except for these 2. I feel like structurally are in place and sound with who they are, and they're comfortable with that. And I just see that chemistry that they both have, taking it all the way. Now, obviously, I feel like the Suns are going to win this time. I've been saying that all year, but I could easily see this matchup playing out again.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up with the continuity of teams like the Warriors and the Sixers, because the Sixers are a terrible team right now. They have the front runner right now for the MVP, which is Joel Embiid, but they also have a guy in James Harden he doesn't really feel like he's not a world beater, right? He's not going to be enough to get the Sixers to the promised land. And when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, It's great that Kyrie Irving is playing right now, and I'm happy for him. And KD is playing well. But guess what? Ben Simmons, he's not going to play the rest of the year, and that's a big problem. If you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, you're thinking about these guys maybe making it to the finals or getting out of the East. I mean, I've been telling you this, guys, for a couple of weeks now. The Brooklyn Nets, I mean, they've got a problem, okay? Because they've got one guy, KD, that is willing to take them to the promised land. And you've got Kyrie Irving, who is just now starting to play. That's great. Ben Simmons not playing. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets have a problem. The Philadelphia 76ers have a problem because James Harden, look at his entire career. He's been a great regular season player, a la Peyton Manning. And I know a lot of you guys are going to get pissed off at me for bringing up Peyton Manning, but guess what? James Harden never did shit. He never did shit in the playoffs. And guess what? He's not going to do shit in the playoffs this year. So you look at the Eastern Conference, it's just like, it's kind of a hodgepodge. And the only team that we can trust, even though they're not very sexy, are the Milwaukee Bucks. You look at the West, the Golden State Warriors are my team. I love that roster over there in Golden State. But, Steph Curry is injured right now, and James Wiseman is done for the season. So I look at a guy like James Wiseman, it's basically like Ben Simmons. Like, you can just throw it out. Those guys don't exist. And, the Golden State Warriors have a problem right now. And I'm not going to completely write them off, but we see the Phoenix Suns as the favorite right now because they have the best team. And so I'm looking forward to it. If I could see the Suns versus the Bucks in the NBA Finals in back-to-back years, it's going to be amazing. And that would be my first choice because I love both of those teams. You got two teams with 7 guys averaging double figures per game. You got CP3, who's probably going to retire next year, orchestrating that offense. And, while I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks right now to win the championship back-to-back, I mean, I'm going to change my mind probably in the next 3 weeks because we just don't know what's going to happen. It's a long playoff season. I mean, the playoffs in my mind don't even start until the month of May. So I don't know what you think about that, Mike, but it's, I know you hate the NBA because you wish that the NFL could be a little bit longer, but, the NBA is my dream and it lasts the whole season long. And, let's bring it on, dude. Let's see what happens because I think the Bucks are going to win.
It's not that I hate the NBA, really. NBA is a great product. It's just more of like nothing matters at all about the season, and you say it every damn day until the playoffs begin. But here's the problem: you get half the teams in the NBA in the playoffs, which is just like, okay, what the hell is the point in that? So for me, it's just like, why would I watch all these games from freaking October all the way up until April and May when nothing matters until then anyway? That's my only problem. We're like in the NFL. Every week matters, and that's why I think it's just a greater quality of game for each week that happens.
No doubt. There's no doubt. And the NFL is the best product. And we all know that. In the United States of America, the NFL is the best product.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out. Obviously, last year was exciting for me, following the Suns and seeing how that came about, but I think they're going to end up there again. But we did get a question, just kind of a comment from our buddy Chiefs Kingdom. He changed his name to Ultimate Gaming, by the way. So he just wanted to know how we feel about Tyreek, and he said Honey Badger. Honey Badger, I personally don't give a damn. They say the Honey Badgers don't give a damn. Well, I don't give a damn about Honey Badgers. So I'm cool with Justin Reid, and I'm excited to see how that goes. Tyreek being gone, it's gonna be weird, and it's gonna suck not having him on the roster, and it's gonna be weird to see how another team uses him, because Mike McDaniel's already talked about using him similar to Deebo Samuel, and as far as the way their roles fit for the team, it makes sense because Debo played a lot of running back actually for the 49ers. Tyreek can be lined up in the backfield too, just as much. So, yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts though about the Tyreek thing. And I just I'm gonna miss him as a player, as a fan of the team. But I'm really excited to see what the Chiefs do in the draft and how some of these receivers that we haven't really seen much of lately come about. Juju missed most of this past year with an injury, and we'll see if he can get back to his form from a couple years ago. And I think there's a good chance that could happen, especially with a great quarterback like Mahomes.
Yeah, I would say with the Honey Badger, I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there about him going to the Denver Broncos, and that's fine. I mean, he's an older player, and he's older than Tyreek Hill, but I don't have a problem with us losing the Honey Badger. I mean, he did his deed for the Kansas City Chiefs, and with as far as Tyreek Hill is concerned, I mean, we got rid of him at the right time because he was going to be a huge, huge cap hit. And I know a lot of people don't understand that. We're just fans out here. We don't give a shit about cap hits and all that bullshit. We just want the best players on the team. But Tyreek Hill, huge cap hit. We did the right thing at the right time. We got a lot of picks. And I wish the best for Tyreek Hill. He's what I would like to call, I wouldn't call him a descending player, but he's also not an ascending player, which is what the Chiefs are looking for right now. We want ascending players, a la a DK Metcalf, who is very young. If I make that trade, a lot of people like to look at a DK Metcalf trade and compare it to Tyreek Hill. Well, why would you give all those picks away for DK Metcalf? Well, he's a lot younger player, and he's not going to cost as much as a Tyreek Hill. So we let go of Tyreek Hill at his peak, which is the exact thing that you would like to do in the NFL, because Tyreek Hill is not going to get any better, guys. I told you guys this on a show before. Devontae Adams, you look at a guy like Devontae Adams going from the Green Bay Packers to the Las Vegas Raiders. We've already seen the best years of both of those guys, and we appreciate what they did for the league, but guess what, guys? They're not going to get any better. They're going to plateau, and they're going to get worse
if you
as
want to
they
get
get
an
older.
idea of what Tyreek Hill's numbers are going to look like with the Dolphins, just go back to 2017 with Alex Smith and look at those numbers that he had there. It's going to be something very similar. And Tyreek Hill had good numbers with Alex Smith, but you can expect numbers like that, not so much numbers of what we've seen in the last couple of years. Just blowing up with Mahomes at quarterbacks.
We got a lot of value. That's the whole point of the NFL.
Yeah, 5 picks.
You've got to get value.
Absolutely. And then we're kind of bouncing around between sports topics here, but he also mentioned he's got the Jazz and Bucks is who he's got.
The Jazz and the Bucks?
For Ultimate Gaming, that's who he's picking.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Phoenix Suns are just too good. I mean,
I'm glad you give my Suns credit finally. That's good to hear.
Hell no. I mean, the Jazz are great. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is an elite player in the league, but that roster is not as good as you think they are. And if you're looking at an upset, if you want to play an upset, if we're just talking about betting right now, you got to take the Golden State Warriors, because the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies are much better rosters than the Utah Jazz. If you're just going to make a play against the Phoenix Suns, that the Phoenix Suns might not make the finals. I mean, I personally would go with the Memphis Grizzlies or the Golden State Warriors. I mean, that's not that bad of a roster, the Memphis Grizzlies, but I just think Ja Morant is a year away here, and I think the Golden State Warriors have a lot more experience. But please, I mean, if you're going to make a bet here, please don't bet on the Utah Jazz to make the finals. That's just not going to happen.
If someone's going to sneak in there based on the record, the Warriors to me are the best. Just looking at the record, they're 48-28. It's not a great record by any means for what we're talking about. It's a lot of losses for a team that has that much talent, but I could see them sneaking in a situation where they do somehow get the best of the Suns and end up in the finals.
And again, going back to our NFL topic, when we talk about ascending and descending players, I mean, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, all of those guys are ascending players. When you look at the Golden State Warriors, those guys are descending players. And so I would give, honestly, the Memphis Grizzlies a better chance versus the Phoenix Suns than I would the Golden State Warriors. But, as we all know, anything can happen, especially when all of the games are rigged.
Oh, you're going back into the rig topic again, once again. He just thinks that the Jazz could make it, but he says he doesn't underestimate any teams. So that's his takes right there. But this was kind of an awkward show with you guys today. I feel out of place being here at this. We're not in the true studios. You know what I mean? The Sports Buffoon Studios. You know, Mr. Brews is like our home away from home, and we love doing shows there. It's comfortable, it's fun, and we just have a good time there. But like, it's awkward being at this. This is actually
what?
This is an interesting case, but. With that said, we'll be getting back into our old rhythm here after this week, and I appreciate you guys all for hanging out for a while and just listening to us banter about some sports news and give some crappy opinions, you know, all that fun stuff. But Jason, do you have any final thoughts before we kick it off here?
Let's go Phoenix Suns. And if you guys want to follow us, just show up at Mr. Brews, because we're there once a month, and they serve amazing beers at Mr. Brews.
Yeah, I think you're saying let's go Suns, but you're doing it in jest. So I don't really believe you.
No, I'm serious.
They're playing the Warriors right now, so I need to go get that damn game on TV. So, all right, you guys. Well, Tanner will be back with us again next week. He's going to enjoy himself out in Arizona. And we will be back in our old home of Mr. Brews next week. So, Settling the Kingdom, episode 5 will be going on this weekend as well, so look out for that. If you have not checked that out yet, look at the one that was just posted 2 days ago. I just did a little kind of an overview discussion about my thoughts and outlook of the Kansas City Chiefs. So that one I thought was a fun discussion for myself to have with myself, because sometimes it's awkward doing a solo podcast. It's good to have someone else with you, right?
Awkward.
All right. With that said, I will see y'all on the next one.
JG, your boy, we're out.